So today we're tackling something I think a lot of us know all too well.
Oh, yeah. The grind.
Exactly. That intense schedule, whether it's a startup, a finance role, or just, a season where your job basically runs from 9 to 9.
And there's this narrative that comes with it, isn't there? That long hours automatically mean stress, burnout.
And zero personal life. It's like a package deal. You just have to accept it.
It's that cycle everyone talks about. You're trading huge chunks of your time and your energy for, well, a predictable income.
Mhm.
And that trade-off, it just leaves so many people feeling trapped
Drained.
completely. They need the security, of course,
Yeah,
but they feel like they're drowning in the sacrifice required to get it.
absolutely. And that is exactly what makes the source material we've pulled for today
Yeah.
so powerful. Our mission for this deep dive isn't to give you some kind of escape route.
Because quitting usually isn't an option, right?
Uh,
Not right now.
Exactly. It's not about that. The mission is to extract practical, genuinely actionable strategies. We want to show you how to restructure your life around the job.
So you can actually find some peace, some comfort, even fulfillment, without having to hand in your resignation.
It's a shift in focus from feeling helpless to, I guess, finding some empowerment.
hmm It's about building a structure of self-care and strategy that's strong enough to handle the pressure of a 12-hour day.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I think we have to start with the foundational philosophy because the sources suggest the problem isn't just the hours themselves, it's the mental framing.
Is the whole mental model.
hmm
We have to start by challenging the very idea of what comfort even means in this context.
That's the first big insight, isn't it?
It really is. A lot of the suffering, it comes less from the actual workload and more from holding on to these, well, frankly, wrong expectations about what life should look like during this kind of phase.
Right. We measure our 9 to 9 reality against this cultural ideal of balance.
Yeah, that perfect balance. 3 hobbies, gourmet dinners every night.
Weekends totally free of any worry. And when we don't hit that benchmark, we feel like we're failing.
And that gap between the expectation and the reality, that's where the burnout really starts to grow.
So how do the sources fix this? How do they redefine comfort?
They revise it completely,
Yeah.
but just for this chapter of life, comfort doesn't mean perfect leisure. It means 3 very specific things.
Okay.
Mental peace, a predictable income, and this is key, retaining just enough energy for yourself at the end of the day.
That distinction changes everything. You're shifting the goalpost from an impossible, dream-perfect balance to something actually achievable, which is stability.
It's a psychological pivot.
Mm.
And the sources argue that half the stress just vanishes when you accept that,
How so?
because it introduces intention. When you truly accept that your current phase is about, say, stability or paying off debt or getting critical skills,
Mhm.
you stop wasting mental energy fighting the reality of the schedule,
So the energy you would have spent fighting the clock, being frustrated,
fighting that unrealistic ideal.
you get all that energy back for yourself. It's like an efficiency gain in your emotional budget.
Exactly. Acceptance clears the mental clutter. The work feels intentional, not wasted. And that feeling of intention is, well, it's fundamental for mental peace.
Okay, so acceptance is the foundation, but then we have to move to execution, right? We have to figure out what we can actually control when our schedule feels like it's out of our hands.
Which brings us to what the sources call the control paradox.
The control paradox, I like that.
Yeah. You have zero control over a client call or a big deadline. But the sources identify 3 essential internal things that you, the listener, have total control over.
Let me guess. Sleep, food, and mindset.
You got it. Sleep, food, and mindset.
We hear this all the time, but let's be honest. When you are that exhausted, those are the first 3 things to go completely off the rails.
Oh, absolutely. You're running on 3 hours of sleep,
Why?
grabbing greasy takeout, scrolling through negative news until 1 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly the job feels impossible.
So what's the tactical advice here?
The sources are very specific because they get the energy deficit.
Oh.
They don't say get an impossible 8 hours of sleep. That just sets you up for failure.
Right. And more guilt.
Instead, the goal is 6 to 7 hours of quality sleep. The emphasis is on quality.
Why is quality more important than duration here?
Because when your time is limited, you have to maximize the restorative value. Quality means creating a sleep ritual. A cool room, blackout shades.
And definitely no screens for at least 30 minutes before bed.
Absolutely not. Especially no high stimulation work stuff. You want those 6 hours to be deep, restorative REM cycles, not 7 hours of tossing and turning.
That makes perfect sense. We often trade an hour of good rest for an hour of I don't know, just awful media consumption or checking that one last email.
Precisely. Now, for food, the focus is simple, home-prepared meals. Not because you need to be a gourmet chef,
Thank goodness.
because you need fuel that doesn't cause energy spikes and crashes. Heavy, processed restaurant food. It takes a ton of energy to digest, which just drains you even more.
So simple home food could just be pre-chopping vegetables on a Sunday, or just committing to basic oatmeal in the morning.
Exactly. Minimize decision fatigue. Maximize nutritional stability. And that brings us to the third pillar, your mindset. Specifically, managing your media consumption.
This one is huge. I think we all know that feeling. You have 30 free minutes and you spend 29 of them doom scrolling.
Or comparing your life to some perfectly curated feed online.
Yeah, and you feel worse than when you started.
The sources are really adamant about this. If you have limited mental energy, you have to allocate it efficiently. You must consciously choose content that either actively relaxes you
Like calming music or a mindless comedy.
or actively teaches you something. Stop scrolling stress into your life. Every single choice about what you consume needs to be about either replenishment or advancement.
So if we can master our internal environment, our health, our mindset, then we can turn outward and change our relationship with the job itself.
Yes, stop seeing the job as the enemy.
Or as a trap. The goal is to start making it a strategic tool.
And this is maybe the most profound mental shift they recommend. If you see the 9-to-9 job as just a cage, your daily anxiety is going to stay high. You're resisting for 12 hours a day. It's exhausting.
But if we're putting in that much time, we have to get more value out of it than just a paycheck, right? What's the value proposition?
The sources break it down into 3 layers of value you have to intentionally extract. First, obviously, it pays your bills today.
Sure.
Second, it builds your resume for tomorrow,
Yeah.
your professional brand equity. And third, and this is the big one, it funds your future dreams, the house, the education, whatever it is.
When you anchor every task to one of those benefits, the time feels constructive.
It does. So if the job is a tool, how do we use those office hours smartly, even when we're swamped?
Right. We can't just stop working and start reading self-help books at our desk.
The sources give 3 specific, actionable commitments you can make right within your existing work. They're
Yeah.
all about microgrowth.
Okay, what's the first one?
Intentionally learn one new skill. It doesn't have to be a formal certification. Maybe it's just mastering a new piece of software your company uses.
Or just really understanding the regulatory framework in your industry.
Exactly. Just dedicate 10 minutes a day to a professional development article or to tutorial, even if it's related to your current project.
So you're shifting from I have to finish this task to I am gaining a skill while I finish this task. Like that. What's the second action?
Improve your communication abilities. This is always a value add. Commit to, say, writing 1 email draft a week where your only focus is clear, concise, non-emotional language.
Or practice summarizing complex info into 3 bullet points.
That's a great one. Strong communication is the ultimate professional leverage, no matter what your industry is.
That is universally true. And the third action?
Consciously build one professional habit. A habit is leverage, right? It takes effort at first, but then it runs on autopilot.
So if you struggle with deadlines, the habit might be scheduling 15 minutes at the end of each day to plan the next morning's priorities.
Perfect example. Or, if you're disorganized, the habit is filing documents immediately. You protect that habit above all else.
That's the key to empowerment right there. Seeing your job not as a master, but as a structure you are intentionally using to build your health, your skills, and your savings.
You're in control of the outcome, even if you're not in control of the schedule. And that feeling of purpose is what cuts down the daily anxiety of the long hours.
Okay, we've covered maximizing the time inside the job. Now let's talk about maximizing those precious few hours around it. The sources use this wonderful term, joy anchors.
Yes, the idea that comfort isn't a vacation you wait for. It's something you build with small, consistent daily rituals.
This is a huge trap of the long hour cycle, isn't it? The tendency to postpone life.
It is. We think, I'll wait for Sunday to feel alive, or I'll recover on my annual vacation. But you can't sustain yourself if you let your emotional tank run on empty for 5 or 6 days straight.
We have to inject these small, reliable moments of humanity every single day. What are some concrete examples the sources give? They have to be really small and easy to do.
They are delightfully micro. It's the difference between waiting for a 3-hour block of leisure and building a reliable 15-minute sanctuary.
Okay.
It could be a ritualized morning coffee, not gulping it down while checking emails, but actually savoring it quietly before the day starts.
Or what about movement? That's so important for mental clarity.
Exactly. A dedicated 15-minute walk when you get home, just to physically shed the office environment. Or using your commute to listen to a favorite podcast or an album you love.
These moments act like buffers, don't they? They create a clear line between your professional self and your personal self.
They do. If you just jump from work stress straight to couch paralysis, the stress stays active in your system. This brings us to what the sources call the math of me time.
The math of me time.
They stated explicitly, 20 minutes of daily, consistent me time is far more effective for your well-being than just relying on a single lazy Sunday once a week.
Why is that consistency so much more powerful? I mean, isn't 20 minutes just a drop in the bucket compared to a 12-hour workday?
You'd think so, but no. The consistency prevents your emotional battery from ever dipping into the red zone. If you only recharge once every 7 days, you spend most of your week operating on fumes.
Which degrades your performance and makes you more emotionally volatile.
Right. A consistent 20-minute daily anchor is like a micro-recharge. It maintains a higher baseline of resilience and prevents that total psychological burnout. It's all about frequency, not duration.
It's about designing durability into your week. Daily maintenance, not emergency weekend repairs.
Speaking of infrastructure, we have to talk about the most critical piece supporting all of this, financial stability.
Ah, yes. Nothing derails mental peace faster than money worries.
That is the unspoken core message here. No amount of meditation, no amount of quality sleep makes a demanding job feel comfortable, quite like financial calm.
And there's an irony there, isn't there? People in these 9-to-9 roles often have good incomes.
They do. But if that income is poorly managed, the high salary actually creates more stress because the stakes are so much higher.
So what's the core financial advice from the sources?
It's all about discipline. First,
Yeah.
save first, spend later. Automate it. Transfer your savings on payday before you even see the money in your main account.
You pay your future self first.
Exactly. And the second piece of advice, which is an invisible killer, is to actively avoid lifestyle inflation.
Can you break that down? Give us a concrete example of lifestyle inflation.
Sure. It's that slow, unconscious creep where your spending just grows to match your income. You get a raise, and you automatically upgrade your apartment. You start relying on premium food delivery because you're too busy. You trade in your reliable car for one with a higher payment.
And suddenly your new, higher salary feels just as tight as the old one.
You've just replaced freedom with golden handcuffs. Because now that demanding job isn't just funding stability, it's necessary just to sustain your new inflated baseline.
And that's the so what. That's what connects money back to mental peace. When you have that financial calm, that savings buffer, the pressure at the office automatically feels lighter.
You gain optionality. You approach the job from a place of strength, knowing you have choices. That financial calm is the massive infrastructure holding you up through the long days.
This has been an incredibly structured approach. We've redefined comfort. We've mastered the controllables.
Leveraged the job as a tool, anchored our days with small rituals, and built a foundation of financial calm.
The ultimate takeaway seems to be that comfort isn't about escaping work, but about mastering the life you build around it.
The long hours are a temporary intentional foundation. You have to use them that way, not as a permanent state of being.
So if the job is the foundation, what are the pillars the sources say we must be building with that investment of time?
They list 4 essential things. Use the job to build your health through sleep and food. Build your skills through those micro investments at the office. Build your savings through strict financial discipline. And finally, build your self-respect.
How so?
The self-respect that comes from knowing you are intentionally executing a complex strategy instead of just reacting to whatever demands are thrown at you.
That brings us to our final provocative thought for you to consider as you go about your day. We've established that the real discomfort of a long-hour job isn't the hours themselves. It's the failure to apply what you gain, the money and the skills, toward a clearly defined future you actually want.
So we'll leave you with this question to guide your own planning and your own intention. If you look ahead 5 years, what specific dream, what goal, or what future lifestyle is your current 9-to-9 job strategically funding right now?
If you can't answer that clearly, maybe it's time to redefine the mission and reclaim your intention. Until next time, keep digging deeper.